there, one kite. I'm already into the 420, damn it.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
What's the matter with that cat there?
Must be full of reefer.
Full of reefers?
Yeah, man.
You mean that cat's high?
Sailing.
Sailing?
Lightly.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Hello and welcome to the Reefer Reporters with Cannabis News Hawks, Kim Cooper and myself, Al Graham, both of the Pace Radio Show. Today we are going to talk about and discuss Canadian and international cannabis news from the week of March 13th to the 19th, 2018. Well, Kim, we have got a very hectic and busy show today, don't we?
We most certainly do, Al. It's getting tougher and tougher every week to weed through the numerous cannabis stories that are out in the regular news on the wires every day.
Yes, it does. It does, and it also takes a toll on our on our computers.
It sure does. We've had a couple of computer crashes trying to get all these windows open to relay all these wonderful and not so wonderful news stories to all our listeners.
Yes, we do. And in the not so wonderful news category today, we have a very sad, I wouldn't say announcement, but story to cover, and that is the passing of a dear friend of ours in the cannabis community.
Yes, the one and only Mr. Shane King, former manager and owner of Vape on the Lake in Toronto, has passed away. Heartfelt condolences to Amber, his wife, and his children. What they're going through right now I can't even imagine. What they're going through. This happened suddenly. It was unexpected, to say the least. Motor vehicle accident.
Yes, it was. According to a post that Amber had put up on Facebook, is that a truck had stopped in front of Shane. There was no lights, and he didn't have time to stop. It sounds like Shane just drove right into the back end of a truck. Yeah,
apparently he was on a moped. And it was dark. It was nighttime. The truck did not have any lights on. It didn't have any reflectors. There was nothing out on the road to say that there was a truck broken down in the pitch black. And he didn't see it in time, simply. Yeah.
Amber also posted that Shane passed away while he was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. They did try to stabilize him, but things didn't work out, obviously.
Yeah. Amber King, Shane's wife, chiming in on the post by a friend of the show, Tracy Lamery, who basically broke the news to most of the community today that this accident tragically happened, and let us all know. GoFundMe account has been set up to help the family through this. Their caregiver, soulmate, and main breadwinner for the family has left this family, and they are going to need some help and support in the future. So it's good to see people stepping up in the community for that GoFundMe account.
Exactly. They have really stepped up. I was looking at that before we came on to the show, and people have really stepped up. It's great to see.
Absolutely.
Now, in another post, I didn't realize this earlier today, but I was talking to Al before the show, and he mentioned something about one of the children and the accident. And I went looking, and Amber did post that looks like Quentin might have been with him at the time, and she's posted that he is okay. He has a bent bone in his ankle, so he won't be walking or using his foot for 2 weeks, but nothing is broken. He's got a bit of a road rash on his leg and hip. He's sore, but he will be okay.
Thank goodness for that. Small mercy, at least, anyway. By the sounds of it, he was on the back, so more than likely Shane took the brunt of the impact.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yes, I would. I don't know how long you've known Shane. I've known Shane for about 8 years. I met him because of Treating Yourself magazine in the expo. He was a volunteer there. I believe it was Sarah Sunday who introduced him to me. And he really enjoyed those expos, and he got right involved in the cannabis community. He said, vape on the lake. He was right into the glass. He was into the marches and stuff out there, pulling the wagon, either full of kids or full of magazines, handing the information out.
Yeah, great guy. I met Shane for the first time almost 5 years ago down in Toronto at one of the expos. And then I started frequenting the lounge. Every time I went to Toronto, I made sure I stopped in at Vape on the Lake and said hi to everybody. Great guy, wonderful father and family man. It's a tragic loss.
Yeah, yes, it is. He helped so many people, So yes, that was a bit of sad. That's very disappointing. So
yeah. So our condolences from Pace Radio, Lifestyle Radio Network, and all of the shows on the network go out to the King family. Blessings be with you, all of you.
Yes. Oh, I want to mention too. Shane also had arranged the Burnt Up Fest every year for the cannabis community. A lot of bands playing and other things that were going on there. I don't know if you were ever able to attend that, Kim, or not. But
no, I never made it down for any of those. I'm so far away. I have to pick and choose which Southern Ontario events I can go to. So I hit a couple every year, but sadly I don't get to them all.
Yeah, there was some tie-dye. I went one year, just some tie-dye going on with Kim Stockings, as well as the Killing Time Band was playing that year. I went kayaking on the river. A lot of people camping, just sitting around having a good time. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's go from that story on to our next one. I just want to mention, at the break time, we're going to do a little thing for Shane. I got an interview with him that we're going to play.
Yeah.
As well. Okay? So wait and listen to that as well, everybody. So, all right, from Shane to Doug.
Yeah, Mr. Doug Ford of the city of Toronto and the new leader of the PC party in Ontario has definitely been making the rounds in the news.
Yes, he has. He has. He came out swinging after he won. Come up with a big comment there that got some people in the cannabis community, because Doug Ford wants free market for cannabis in Ontario, is what he said.
It sure is, and people like myself got very excited about that, little tidbit. I mean, we're well aware of Mr. Ford's history. We're also well aware of the family history that goes along with Doug Ford. So we pretty much know their position on drugs, including cannabis. It's pretty well known to be favorable.
Yes. Well, in the interview with CBC, he says that I don't like the government controlling anything. I'm open to a free market, and I'm going to consult with our caucus.
Yeah, and it was fantastic news to hear. Everybody was jumping up and down saying, yes, we love Doug. And a lot of people were NDP supporters were talking about switching over to PC party because of this man's stand. But didn't really last.
It didn't last. What was it? Maybe 24, 36 hours after that announcement came out in the papers. He's turned around with an interview with Global News with Alan Carter, and he's turned around and said, start off with the liquor stores, and eventually I believe in the free market. Start off with a controlled environment of the LCBO, sounds like liberal plan. I want to see how it goes first. And then he goes on to say, if it was up to me, I wouldn't even have legalized.
Yeah, real 360 there, that's for sure. I kind of expected it. I was speaking with some friends right after he came out the first night and said, he wanted, free enterprise for everybody, and let's get the little guys in there and that. And I thought, that might be his opinion. But I don't believe it is the opinion of the PC party, which is now the party that he basically works for. So I
Yeah.
kind of expected this little flip from him. I think the PC higher-ups came down and said, "What the hell are you talking about, Doug?"
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Somebody has, said something to him, obviously, to have him flip back quickly. Like, that was astonishing. Like,
Yeah.
It
His
could be-
original
but-
statements, I think, are his own personal opinions. But it is not the platform that he is going to be permitted to run on under the PC banner.
You're correct. He can make that announcement like he did the other day. This is only like 3 or 4 days ago. But it's not like people ask, is this for real? And I just said it's not for real until it's in the platform and it becomes policy.
That's
So other than that, it's just Doug just spewed off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Doug was being Doug, and he said what he personally believes. But we all took it to mean, well, this is how you're going to run your platform. But as you said, that is not the case until it's carved out in stone, so to speak. And we hear it sort of right from the party's mouth. And in our history with the PC party, they're pretty much anti-cannabis. So I could see this happening. I can kind of see a clash here. I think opportunity knocked for Doug Ford when this whole thing happened in the PC party and they found themselves in need of a new leader. He wanted into provincial politics. He's seen the available hole and he jumped on it. I don't think that this party is even anywhere in line with this man's real thinking.
No, I don't think so either. And probably right about now, they could put an empty chair up against Kathleen Wynne and the empty chair would still win.
Yeah. That's the general consensus. A lot of people say they don't like Doug Ford, but they hate Kathleen Wynne. So, I mean, he's going to get their vote, right? So we before NDPers and others alike that along those lines jump onto the PC bandwagon, I think we better see what Mr. Ford rolls out on his platform that is actually an official platform.
Yeah, well, we got the Liberals who, were going with the LCBO model control and everything. We got Doug doing the flip-flop thing, hair like a fish. Where does that leave the NDP? Does this not give them an opportunity to come in with something that the cannabis community could be really favorable towards? Like if you look out across the country, there's other provinces, and some of them have the NDP province, where they are open to private retail. So is this not an opportunity for the provincial NDP to come up with a plan like that?
Absolutely. With this flip-flop by Ford, which was bound to happen under the PC banner, for sure it's an opportunity for the NDP party. Cannabis activists, advocates, patients, and consumers are looking for a place to hang their shingle. If the NDP put out a hook for that, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will grab it.
Yeah. Yeah, and as Abby Roach says here in this article in Maclean's, that we've heard this all before. As far as like at one time people were promising about the alcohol, get it out into the stores. We've heard that before. It took 100 years, right? We're not waiting for 100 years for cannabis to go from LCBO control to being private. Like none of us are going to be around by in 100 years.
Yeah, absolutely. We're done waiting. And waiting and using a private model or a private model where it's government controlled, government run, government only model is not what the people of this province want. Many of the columnists that are speaking on this take the approach that the province is split on this. I think the majority want an open market, not private for retail. They want an open market where everybody can get in. I think the majority is for independent retailers.
Well, a nano survey that was done in July agrees somewhat with you there, Kim, because it's basically split right down the middle. 32% are in favor of a licensed and regulated private retailers instead of an LCBO model. 31% oppose the private model, so that's pretty even there. but 23% are somewhat supportive of a private model versus, the other way. So that leans towards the favorable of the privatization of stores in the province of Ontario. And, the NDP should jump on board with that. Could they do a split? I think they're doing a split in BC. They can still do a split here in Ontario, still protect some of the union supporters as far as job-wise, and still allow some private retail.
That's right. There's no reason that everybody can't get in on the cannabis boom. There's no reason that it has to be in government-only controlled hands. There's more than enough of a market to go around for independent retailers as well as government-run retail. There are going to be a certain number of people in the population that would prefer a government-run store. Well, that's fine. Let them have that. But there's a large majority of the population that prefer a private retail sector. Well, why shouldn't we be entitled to the same courtesy as the independents?
See, when Justin Trudeau started talking about legalizing cannabis, a lot of people jumped on board. That was for legalization. Will that same amount of enthusiasm happen in an election for regulation, like as far as control, the way the law would be set?
Absolutely.
Will people be as enthused to go to the ballot box to vote for storefronts?
Yeah, I think they will. I think in the province of Ontario, I hope the people in this cannabis community stand up and use their right to vote as a way of speaking your mind on what you want to see happen in this province. Unless we speak with our votes, we will not be heard.
That's exactly. That's the way you got to do it. You want change, you got to vote in change. You got to get up and speak out, and one way of doing it is with your ballot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our voice.
Okay, well, since we're in Ontario, let's stay in Ontario before we start hopping across into the big jet and going for a 420 airline fly across the country.
Yeah.
All right.
What's going on right here at home, still in Ontario with the government. They're offering some big money to municipalities.
It looks like they're going to provide $40 million of revenue from the federal excise duty on recreational cannabis over 2 years to help municipalities with implementing costs related to legalization of cannabis. $40 million. I thought legalization is supposed to be the less costs. Isn't that what?
I have to chuckle. I mean, every time I read these stories, I don't know what to do besides laugh. I can't wrap my head around it. Somebody really needs to sit down and explain to me how it can cost more money to enforce something that is no longer illegal. Is that not an oxymoron?
Well, some people would say there's some more penalties been added to the system, but I don't know. Maybe some of this $40 million to pay back these the law enforcement that's been going in and trying to shut down all these dispensaries. I don't know.
That would be really nice, but somehow I don't think so. The Ontario government website also simultaneously with this news article released their platform. The $40 million, they say, is going to increasing the capacity of local law enforcement. It's going to create specialized legal team to support drug impairment and driving prosecutions, as well as for the province's forensic science support and toxicology testing labs.
Now,
I mean,
look at the developing a program to divert youth involved in minor cannabis-related offenses away from criminal justice system. Is that like a DARE program?
Yeah. They're developing a whole brand new program which will run basically similar to DARE, which is going to educate our youth on the misgivings and the misdeeds of using this now legal substance in our country.
So this would be for the youth who have I've been caught with, like 5 grams.
I don't know. I have no idea. It doesn't really give any specifics.
Minor cannabis-related offenses. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, to divert them away from the justice system.
Diversion therapy.
Now, some of this money is also going to go towards the shutting down of the dispensaries.
Well. They're also using it to create a task force and a police force that is going to be dedicated to dispensary raids.
Yeah, and it looks like some money is being done towards promotion and advertising as well. Yeah. So, there's your $40 million.
They've already got a plan in place, and they're putting together a sort of a special police force that's going to concentrate on dispensary raids. Before we even know what the Liberal platform on sales is going to be. What if they include dispensaries?
They may include dispensaries, but I would think they're going to be those dispensaries will be LP run, and they may not be called dispensaries. That'd be some type of,
So they'll still be cracking down on anybody that sells current dispensary products, which are the ones that the patients are actually needing. So we need the tinctures, we need the lotions, we need the creams, we want the gels, and we want the topical rubs that are available out there, as well as the Rick Simpson oil to fight cancer, the canna capsules that stop people from staying awake all night. All of these products that are available in current dispensaries for patients that can't get them at their current LP will disappear, and we will have a special police force that will monitor this. And we're going to pay for none of our tax dollars.
Yeah, it just sounds so. I think this special police force just sounds like a gang of people running around busting down doors.
Yeah.
It just sounds so mean and nasty.
Yeah. So Ontario, $40 million for drug enforcement of cannabis after cannabis becomes legal.
Yeah. It's I don't know. All right, you would think they would spend some of that tax money they're collecting on the cannabis taxes on maybe some things like in Colorado has done. Schools, helping the homeless, things like that.
Yeah, I mean they've done so much in the state of Colorado with the cannabis program and the revenues that they're generating from taxes down there. It's all going right back into the community. And in Ontario, we're looking at putting it into enforcement.
Yes, exactly. This just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, Kim, what does make sense to me is it's time to take a break.
All righty then.
Yeah, time to take a break, time to medicate, and this week is in dedication of our friend Shane King. We're going to do a news clip. Comes from a 420 Roadshow broadcast that we did here on Lifestyle Radio. It's part of an interview that we did with Shane at the 2016 Toronto Global Marijuana March. And in this clip, we talk about the early days as well as vapor lounges. And then when we come back from the break, you will hear a little bit of music from a band that he really enjoyed, as well as Kim's cannabis history moment. You're listening to you're listening to Reefer Reporters. Here on LifestyleRadio.net.
Hey, this is Cheech. And this is Chong. And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio. What is it? Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time. 420 Radio? Ooh.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Okay, all right. Well, Shane, how's things? Haven't talked to you in a while.
Good. Glad the rain's held off today.
Yes, me too, man.
It's our second seemingly successful so far, peaceful event of the year.
Yes.
Good start. 420 was extremely successful.
Was it?
And
big crowd?
It seems like today's going to be the same way.
Good. So, I guess basically I'm just going around and interviewing people, talking about what they're doing for advocacy, maybe what they've done in the past, so on and so forth. You and I, we first originally met back with Treating Yourself magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
Helping out with shows and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I continue to try and help out with shows, different cannabis cup style events.
Correct.
Different music events focused around cannabis-friendly scenarios and family-friendly events mixed together.
Yeah. And what are you doing now? Like when I first met you, you were doing construction.
Yeah, exactly. I used to work construction, and the cold didn't treat me very well. But I'm a young person, so I couldn't complain too much.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to start working for the expo back in the day, Trading Yourself Expo.
Yeah.
And since then, in the last 2 years, I've been the sole owner of Vape on the Lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, under a legalization model, I think lounges should be able to serve cannabis, just like a place there's alcohol.
I agree completely. Yeah. And that's, again, under a court case, I think that's the sorts of things that will get added in and will have to be fought.
Yeah.
Will have to be proven that this is more legit than what people think. You know, we've been running a good service for, our place alone's been open for now almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And the other lounges, I know, 10 and 12 and more years.
I was once told that the convenience store next door to you really appreciates you there because it was like $10,000 a month that their retail sales went up.
Oh yeah, we've definitely picked up their life and changed it a little. They smile when I come in every time, and they're very, very good to us, and we try to be very good to them.
Okay, Shane. Well, thanks for the conversation and talking to the listeners. I'll let you get back to the table here, and there's people here who want to talk to you.
At the March.
Oh, I am. Always enjoying my day here. Let's just hope the rain holds out.
Yeah, exactly. If not, come back to Vape on the Lake. We got a roof.
Okay, I shall.
Cheers, Al. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you. There you go, guys. Shane King, owner of the Vape on the Lake Vapor Lounge. Very nice lounge. I've visited there quite often when I'm in the city.
Awesome. I've not been.
Oh, haven't you? Like I said, it's all ground level.
Yeah.
Everything. Bathrooms, the entrance getting into the place is all ground level.
Cool.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing, not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as their daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reefer Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with cannabis and coffee with Marijuana. Then tune in and catch Pottawa with Russell Barth, who calls himself the world's angriest pothead. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham and joint host Kim Cooper and Alicia Yashishin. No week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gignac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at lifestyleradio.net or at our sister site, 420radio.ca.
Let's burn another bowl out of my house to start a brand new day. The sun is shining, I am smiling and singing away.
Hey, we're back from our quick medication session and our break. And before we get back to the news, it's time for Kim's segment about Canada history. Over to you, Kim.
Thanks, Al. Yeah, today we're going to go back in history, but we're not going to go back very far. We're only going to go back by 1 year. This time last year, in 2017, with all the talk that's happening these days in Canada about legal producers and trusting their product, I thought we would revisit an issue that a few of our licensed producers here in Canada have had in the past year. There was a story in the Globe and Mail. It was published on February the 9th, 2017. Federally licensed marijuana company was recently caught selling cannabis that was contaminated with a banned pesticide being used and the dangerous chemical on the plants as far back as 2014. So as the story goes on, a worker that worked at this particular company claimed that Metrum did indeed know that they were using a tainted product because he was instructed to hide the tainted product material in the ceiling tiles of the office of the grow-op when the inspectors were about to arrive at the plant. They've since been caught, and then the products were found in the plants after the products were tested. This was an ongoing situation at several LPs. There are now 2 currently LPs in Canada that are in the middle of a class action lawsuit for causing harm to patients, with many patients signing on all the time. I encourage everyone, do your research. Most companies out there, if they are corporate, they are in it for the money, not for the patient, in my opinion. This is my personal opinion. If you're signing with an LP, please do your research. If at all possible, sign on with a smaller company that's run by former patients. You can find out the information about many of these easily online. Working with corporate companies in Canada for cannabis has caused harm to patients in the past. I, for one, don't foresee that changing in the future. Corporate Canada wants money over everything, and that's a simple fact. So this time in history, last year, Metrum was caught using banned pesticides in their LP products to patients in Canada.
It's been that long, eh?
Yes. 1 year today.
1 year. It's only been a year. Only a year. Wow.
Yeah, 1 year ago they were caught, and that's when the worker came out and had said, hey, they told me to hide those jugs up in the ceiling tiles, so they knew it was there.
Yeah. I remember that story coming out.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was longer.
Yeah. They were caught just over a year ago, but the worker came out with the confession about the tainted product being hidden 1 year ago this month.
Oh. Yeah, it's not good. Not good. All right. Okay, well, let's jump in our 420 Airlines jet and let's get out of Ontario and Canada.
Yeah. I'm always up for a tour. We're flying down south to Michigan.
That's really south, eh?
They still got snow, but we're crossing the border.
That's right. Yes, we have. And we're going to Michigan. They've got a medical cannabis program down there, and they've had one since, I believe, about 2008. And they seem to be going through a bit of a moment like we have had here in Ontario.
Yeah, they're doing very much similar situation that we've got going on, that's for sure. They're currently raiding and giving notice to dispensaries that are operating in Michigan that are operating without their license from the state.
Correct. What they have down there is they've got, if you've applied for your license and it's in the process of going through, they allow them to stay open. But if they haven't applied for their license yet, they're giving them notices to close. And then at that point, if they refuse to close, they may, go further ahead and enforce things stronger. But it was good to see that they've gone around and notified them instead of just all of a sudden showing there with guns a-blazing and smashing in the doors.
Yeah, similar situation, much different tactics than what Ontario is choosing to take. Ontario is breaking down doors, confiscating property, lots of stuff is going on, and property is becoming damaged in the forefront with Ontario police cracking down on cannabis dispensaries. In Michigan, they're choosing a different route. They're visiting the dispensaries that are not licensed or have not attempted to put in for a license and become a legal dispensary with the Michigan Council. Those people are receiving a notice to cease and desist. If a person does not comply, then they'll be taking further action after that. But they're with the cease and desist order, they're also given all of the facts on how they can go about becoming legal. So they're being told, you know what, just go here, put your application in. You can stay open. We'll wait.
Yeah. So none of this
different tactics, right?
Yeah, none of this smash and grab and send you off to a jail cell.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like a little bit of a more humane way, obviously, of treating people. Now, from my understanding, down there in Michigan, patients are allowed to grow. You're allowed to grow 12 plants for a patient. And several people get together and, open up a dispensary. And in some places, it's been a big bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been an outpouring of support. So far, they've had 378 applications to come in for pre-qualifying for a license. Businesses are going through standard background checks, and they need to get approval from their town ordinance allowing a medical marijuana business. Another 117 applications, including 43 growers, 20 processors, 49 dispensaries, and 2 secure transporters, as well as 3 testing facilities, are also in the works.
Yeah, because they're allowing people to apply for different things. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Great program that they've got going on in Michigan.
Yeah. Hey, Ontario, you hear that?
Yeah.
Just next door, man.
Yeah, cross over that Windsor border, man, and you're there, right?
That's right. Well, let's get back on our jet and the 420 Airlines, and let's go over the big pond.
Yeah, we're going to go pretty far this time. We're heading all the way over to Israel. More stuff going on in Israel. Boy, the Israelis got it going on, don't they?
Yes, they do. They do. Like, cannabis consuming in hospitals. They're doing research in hospitals with people vaporizing. And now they seem to be the first country to approve cannabis vaporizer for medical use.
Yeah, a vape pod vaporizer for the use of cannabis extracts and formulations. So we're going away from the flower and into the extracts. And vaporizing is now an approved medicine and available by prescription.
Yes. It's a significant announcement, they say, for medical cannabis patients in Israel who will be able to use medical vaporizers for the first time.
Yeah. Well, the fact that people are smoking, you can't measure a precise dose. When you're smoking. The variables are all over the place, and you're inhaling carcinogens. No doctor wants to recommend smoking. So administering cannabis to patients has frustrated doctors with this practice. So this vape pod that they've come up with consists of an accurate dosage. So I think acts much like a Ventolin puffer.
Yes, it does. It does seem that way. It's good to see. I always thought, I don't know about you, but I thought here in Canada that we did have the Volcano was approved through Health Canada, but maybe I was wrong.
No, the Volcano is approved. The big difference with this one is that they're doing it in Israel is it's going to be a metered dose. So you basically push a button, and every puff will contain the same amount of medication.
Right, like an inhaler.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the big advancement in this over just, us placing our cannabis products in a Volcano and inhaling away. There is not a metered dose. This is a controlled, accurate dose.
Controlled dose. So you take it'd be controlled. You just get the amount that you require that time. Okay.
Yeah. So doctors are very excited about this, being able to control the amount that they can prescribe and patients being able to easily know that they're taking the correct amount. Win-win for everybody.
Yeah, you got to assume that this would probably be something that wouldn't produce any vapors that would be a problem where you would have to create a law like here in Ontario where you have to say vaporizing was against the law.
Yeah, exactly. And I have, I've said that in the past, I use a Ventolin puffer, and they have an odor. It's not strong by any means, but when you can taste and you can smell it when you taste it, when you use it. I've had people stand like right beside me when I use it and they say, oh yeah, I smelled it there. Yeah. But it does have an odor. So, I mean, it's a medicine. If they're going to outlaw vaporizing cannabis, I mean, especially with the extracts that are available today, they're basically smellless and odorless and all of that. Then why you have to outlaw Ventolin puffers as well? So you're going to have people dying on the streets having asthma attacks, So you have people walking around in pain. The comparison is equal. Neither should face restriction.
No, that's right. Well, you can see here why Israel's come up with this new type of inhalation device because they lead the world in medicinal cannabis research and development. They've got over 300 growers, entrepreneurs, and manufacturers that have licenses to produce cannabis.
Yeah, and the research is just astounding that's going on over there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
truly
you know,
is.
here in Canada we have about 94 licensed producers, but not even half of them are even getting cannabis to the market yet that I understand. So
That's right. Most of them aren't even in production.
yeah. Alrighty, Kim. Well, it's good to hear about Israel doing that.
Yeah. Great things coming out of Israel, for sure.
Great thing.
Back into the jet. And now
Yes.
we're going to go where?
We're going to jump back in the jet and we're going to head to the east coast of Canada.
All the way to the east coast,
Coast
of
of
Halifax.
Yes, we are. We're going to discuss what's going on in Halifax and some recent court cases.
Yeah, Chris Enns, friend to the show, has recently made the news once again.
Yes, they have. Chris and Jess, his partner, they were before the courts again recently. It almost looks like two situations myself from what I'm seeing here. Chris, he is the owner of the Farmer Assist Cannabis Resource Center there in Halifax, and he is seeking compensations for products that were seized by the police in 2014.
Yeah, most certainly is. And I am so thrilled to see somebody following through with this. And I'm even happier that the newspapers are picking it up. This happens a lot. He was subject to a raid. He's a legal patient. They confiscated a whole bunch of his stuff, and charges were relayed on him at that time. Well, now all the charges that were related to this incident have been withdrawn.
Correct.
So what happens to all of the stuff they took?
He's asked for the return of his products, and he was told his plants have been destroyed by the police, even though that they were unauthorized to do so.
Yeah, so somebody has to face the music on this, I would think. But that brings to mind the story I read about another one. I just thought of it now, or I would have had it up so I could bring facts to it, but I never thought of it before now. The police are talking about opening greenhouses to house people's plants while they go to court, I believe.
Correct. Yes, there is. Yeah, one of the I believe it might have been Saskatchewan, where they mentioned they may have to build a greenhouse to hold the evidence.
Yeah.
Because this is a perfect situation where they didn't have a spot to hold the evidence. They destroyed it. Now he wants his product back. No difference than if they had taken a car. He'd want his car back.
That's right.
And these plants are now gone. So I know how much the police are always quoted in newspapers to saying what a cannabis plant is worth, no matter how big it is. And I can probably just ask you, and you probably be able to have a good idea just guessing what the number is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the police are always coming out with ridiculous numbers for what they're confiscating.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, Chris has every right to ask for that amount in money back, monetary value.
Yep.
If you've destroyed my plant, then you owe me the money.
Yeah, $1,000 a plant.
Yeah. $1,000 a plant.
$1,000
I mean, I'm sure when he was arrested and this made the news, they probably put a dollar value on what they took away.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I would be researching what that dollar value is that they put on that, and that's exactly what I'd be asking for compensation plus interest.
Yeah, you get busted with 250 plants. You got a big head, $250,000 grow-up bust.
Yeah. So okay, now you owe me $250,000 then, I guess, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's just $1,000 a plant.
Yeah.
That's what I believe is what Chris deserves back, and he should. And also on the East Coast, Chris's partner.
Yeah.
Yes, she was involved. There's the. How exactly does this go? There's a publication ban that's been put on some undercover police officers.
Yeah, Dartmouth Provincial Court. This is taking place in Pharmacist Cannabis Resource Center status report for their application under Section 24 of the Drug Controlled Drug and Substances Act, requested some information pertaining to their case under the Freedom of Information. They were entitled to this information. Well, the lawyers and the judges have now ruled that they've imposed an identity ban, arguing that it was superfluous and the information was about the undercover officer is not in the public domain.
Meanwhile, her name's already been in the public domain. That was part of the argument that Chris was throwing back at them.
Yeah, and
Kirk.
They're putting up a block. They're putting up a block on that. They're saying no.
Yeah. So let's hope they get their money.
I hope they get their money. I really do. I mean, after all of this, it's been traumatic over there, that's for sure. And they deserve the compensation after what they've gone through.
Yeah. And then publication ban.
Publication ban. So we won't be hearing much more until, I guess, it's completed.
No, that's right. Exactly. All right. Well, since we can't hear any more there, let's jump back on that jet. And let's head over to San Francisco.
Good old San Francisco. Great little town, big city of San Francisco. They look like they're doing some good stuff over there.
I always think of streetcars,
Yeah.
bells ringing and everything, open-sided, the big hills and everything. I'm not thinking about cannabis lounges.
Well, you might be next time you go, if San Francisco goes the way that they're talking about. They're talking about embracing some upscale Barbary Coast dispensary marijuana lounge is opening up. There's an upscale steakhouse upstairs, and they're going to have a vapor lounge.
Yeah, well, not only will it be a vapor lounge, but it will be an Amsterdam-style lounge where you can go in there, you can purchase your cannabis, you can go over there and find yourself a nice table to sit with your friends and socialize and share your herb with them.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. It's what cannabis advocates, activists, and patients have been touting in Canada for quite some time, that's the next step for us as well. Purchase what you're going about to consume and a place to consume it. It makes sense to me.
Sure does. Well, they're the only city in the state that has that, but other cities are also, warming up to the idea, such as West Hollywood.
Yeah.
They're looking at it, yeah.
Plans to approve 8 licenses right now are before their city council, so hopefully they'll climb on board as well.
Yes, and that is something that the advocates here in Ontario are starting to fight for, and that is being able to do the same thing.
Yep. Safe consumption spaces are absolutely required. They have been required for many years for all of us patients that have been out there. With legalization on the horizon, they're going to be even more required for the general public to have a place to consume. And I mean, let's face it, who goes to the liquor store to buy their alcohol and then goes to the bar? You just don't do that.
You don't do that, Well, I guess you can take your wine into some restaurants.
You could, I guess you can now. But I mean, it's not something, it's an extra stop.
Correct.
We don't want to make.
You're not going to go to a local...
Yeah, you want to go out for a puff. I want to be able to just go to one place. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get my puff, and then I'm going to be on my way.
Now, Massachusetts, they're also looking at doing the same idea. They have something that's that they're looking at, and as one of the supporters says, those who wish to consume cannabis are going to do it whether their social sites exist or not, and they're going to decide whether they're going to drive, whether they're at those social sites or at a friend's place. If there's concerns about people driving. So it just gives, these places just give cannabis user a place to go out and socialize instead of being forced to hide behind a door.
Yep. Yeah, and the tourist industry as well. I mean, there's so much room for advancement for tourists that come in. Smoking isn't allowed in most of the hotels. They need a place to do this if they're going to be coming to the city and experiencing all of the city, and cannabis is legal. Well, that's part of the city. So there needs to be a place for them to consume this stuff in the tourist industry. Toronto, Northern Ontario, all tourist hotspots. You know, we have to have a place for people to go.
Yeah. Well, this one here, was once in a rundown neighborhood. Now there's other dispensaries have opened, other lounges have opened, and things are starting to change for the better.
Fantastic. I mean, you're bringing industry into a community that is in need of a new revitalization. It starts people coming into these other communities, and then, you know, the industry spreads. You know, more stores come because people are around and they're going to shop while they're there. As far as driving goes, if we have these small little places that pop up in every community, then you don't need to drive.
Right. If I get one in my little town, I can just walk to it.
That's it, you know, that's it. So it takes away from the driving. So we're good, you know. So I'm in favor of seeing more of them.
Yeah, same here, for sure, big time. And I know our friend Shane King was as well. As it was in that break, he mentioned he'd like to be able to sell, you know, cannabis at a lounge and to his customers and stuff. So,
yeah.
All righty. Well, you ready for another trip?
No, aren't we going to stay in Colorado for a minute?
Oh yeah. Well, were we just in San Francisco?
Oh, we were in San Francisco. My bad. I forgot we were in San Francisco. We're flying around all over the place and getting lost. I'm seasick.
Airsick. All right. Sick. Well, there you go. We're off to Colorado. And why are we heading to Colorado?
Well, more good news in the United States on the cannabis front, even with Jeff Sessions in the White House. Imagine that.
Imagine.
The state of Colorado has put forth an initiative that they are going to be allowing nurses, school nurses and school officials will be permitted to administer cannabis as a medication to school children that are enrolled in school and have a prescription for this medicine.
Nice, because that so often is an excuse that's being used as, well, it's illegal, I'm not allowed to touch it.
That's right. There's a new law that's coming in. It's called Jack's Law. It's a proposal that was been on the table for a while, and it looks like it's passing. So soon, primary caregivers can possess and administer medical marijuana in a non-smokable form to a student while the student is at school.
Yeah, it's great. That's fantastic, you know, because normally everybody's all worried about, what about the children?
That's right.
What about the children? Here we're seeing some proactive movement on for the good.
Because, I mean, this is a life-saving medicine for many of these kids. Many of these kids can't attend school unless they get their medicine administered at the proper times every day. If you're denying them a right to an education by denying them their primary medication that helps them with whatever ailment that they are particularly dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. And allows them to carry on with their life, go to school, get educated.
That's right. So great initiative coming out of Colorado. Glad to see this happening in Colorado. In many ways, even with legalization on the forefront in Canada, the United States, even with Jeff Sessions in power down there, is passing us by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, they're still plugging away, eh?
Certainly are. Individual states are taking control of their situations, and they're just doing it.
Well, that's sort of how it's set, too. They have some state rights.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Great to see.
Yes, it is. All righty. Well, let's fly on back home to Canada. Finish up our trip here.
Yeah, let's finish off here in Canada. I'm going to talk a little bit about another friend of the show. Miss Lisa Campbell made the news recently in a Leafly article. Her mission is getting craft cannabis into Ontario cannabis government stores. Lisa Campbell, who's been in the industry and does so much green market pop-up. She runs that.
Sensible Ontario.
Sensible Ontario. She's just started that up as well. She was part of the Kirkland Lake Rally for the Trippin' Daisy 3 years ago up here. She came up with Dana Larson and joined us. She's been every event from across the globe, this girl. And now she's getting into trying to get cannabis into the new CCBOs.
Yeah, well, it seems to be. This is. I'm just reading through the article here.
Yeah, her father, his name is Steve. He's the co-founder of Lifford Wine and Spirits, company that distributes alcohol products. But they are not available in Ontario government-controlled liquor stores. They're only available in private retail. So they're embracing the cannabis movement right now and incorporating it into their business and adding it to their portfolio.
It may not be in their products may not be in the LCBO, but it's in 18 other countries.
Yes, it is. And the LCBO is losing out on this iconic brand that we have right here in Ontario by not housing it. And I think it's a great addition for their portfolio to get in on the cannabis industry that is also not going to be have a spot in the LCBO. So it's kind of, kindling spirits.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to take a few different steps along the way to get there. Educate some people.
Yeah. They're going to be talking to different smaller LPs and stuff like that, and craft growers and people that are not licensed and people that are MMAR. Grow your own. So many small industries out there. So they want to partner with them and get their products out to the consumers. I guess they see on the horizon that dispensaries and stuff like that won't be carrying these products anymore, and there's going to be a need for an outlet for them. So it's great that these guys are looking at possibly housing that need.
Yes, exactly, and I can see that coming down the road where cannabis wines will be something that will be people will order at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I was just looking at something there. No, okay. So I don't know how long. I might would that have to when it comes to the law end of things, like. Right now, we're waiting on them to come up with edible policies as well. Like, where would drinks fall under that?
I don't know.
Under the food regulations?
We're going to cross into two completely different genres. I mean, cannabis is going to have its own rules and regs and everything else, and alcohol already does. So how they will mix and mingle, I think, is another aspect that the government is yet to even look at.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Lisa's quoted here in saying it's taken her over 2 years of lobbying to get Lifford to the point of accepting cannabis. But for 2 years ago, she wanted to move in and create a cannabis showroom and have a space where LPs could rent out shelf space for their product. So now she sees it evolving beyond that and beyond the LPs having space, and instead, I guess, looking to craft.
Yes. Well, hey, I know she's a big craft cannabis supporter and connecting the two markets together.
Yeah. So good for her for her continued lobbying, at this wine company and for pushing forward her agenda.
Yeah. Well, good for her.
Yeah.
See how things go as time goes along.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Hey, I'll have a little bit of some purple Kush wine with my dinner, please. Would that be ice wine? Yeah. All right. I don't drink wine, so.
Yeah. Well, from the wine story, we're going to stay in Canada. Talk about a lot of things. Talk about another guy that a lot of people are really whining about right now, eh?
Yeah. Something around some kiss.
Yeah. Yeah, big kiss for you.
Big kiss for you.
Yeah, big Mr. Gene Simmons has decided he's going to get into the weed game.
Is he going to start promoting cannabis like Snoop?
Yes, he is. He's purchasing in shares and getting into branding and merchandising and using his genius as only he can for an LP in Canada. I'm not sure which LP that this is going to be. He's going to be partnering with, but he is partnering with an LP. He's buying shares or something along those lines, and he is going to be promoting cannabis. Mr. Anti-Drugs, Mr. Don't Do Drugs himself is getting into the cannabis game in Canada.
Yeah. He's they say here, Gene Simmons is a branding and merchandising genius. He not only created one of the most iconic bands of all time, but has spent decades building successful brands internationally in various industries, according to his chairman. Gene will lead the marketing initiatives that will help spread the positive messages that dwell at the heart of within the accordance with strict regulations of Health Canada, blah, 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 blah. But, yeah. It doesn't say who he's going to be with.
No, they're not. They're they're skirting around, saying a whole lot in this article without really saying much of anything. They're not giving us any clue as to which LP that Gene has signed with, but he has signed with somebody, and he is going to be the new marketing brains and the brand behind the cannabis company that he's working for.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, Invictus or something it's called, and they're connected to different producers and something from what I'm seeing here. But there's no names, so.
Yeah.
All right, so
Gene Simmons coming to Cannabis Canada sometime in the near future.
Yes, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. See what happens. See what he comes up with. We may not even know it's even him behind the marketing.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we will. Gene doesn't do anything without letting people know he did it.
You think the bottles will come in with white makeup on and lightning
either that
bolts.
or just the hair,
Big boots. Big tongue on the front of the bottle. I don't know.
Yeah, just a tongue. Might be just a tongue.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. All righty, here. Wipe your joint with this. Lick your paper with it. All right, Kim. Is that it? We got it all covered?
I think we got it all covered. It was a job, but we got her done. There's been a lot going on in the news, and there's still a lot more to come, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Yes, same here. Okay, that's our Reefer Report for March the 13th to the 19th, 2018. And in closing, we'd like to say thank you for listening to our cannabis news. And if you enjoyed it, please share it with those you love and those you don't. Until next time, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
Bark at you later.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.